Hey, this is Toby. So in today's video, we continue to code our high-low breakout EA for mql5. We will add 2 more components to the strategy, and in the end of the video, we will also do multiple backtests. Okay, let's go. Okay, so this is the third part of our high-low breakout EA. We coded here on this channel. If you have not seen the first and second part, I will link them up here. And in today's video, we will add a trailing stop loss to the strategy, and we will also add a channel size filter to the strategy. And then we will do some backtests to see how the strategy performed over the last 10 years. Okay, so let's switch to meta editor and we start coding. Okay, so here we are in the meta editor. This is our high-low breakout EA file. And first of all, let's compile to make sure we start with a working EA here. And I think the first step for this video should be to add a trailing stop loss. So our strategy is a breakout and trend following strategy. So I think a trailing stop loss can improve the strategy. So let's just add another input here after the stop loss under the input section here. And this will be an input of type Boolean where we can just activate a trailing stop loss. So let's name it input trailing stop loss. And maybe by default, this is set to true. And let's also add a comment like this. Okay, now let's compile again. And yeah, that's it for the trailing stop loss input here. Okay, so now let's code the actual function to update the stop loss. So I will copy and paste this function from another EA we did here on this channel, the time range EA dynamic lots trailing stop loss. Here this update position function. If you are interested in this EA where we coded this update stop loss function, I will link it up here, but I will also go through the function in our high-low breakout EA, and so you can code it for yourself in this video here. So I will just copy this function and let's paste it all the way down at the very end here. And now let's go through the function because we need to edit the function a little bit so it works with our EA here. So first of all, we need to add a parameter to the function of type double. And let's call this parameter stop loss distance. Because here we used the input to calculate the stop loss directly in the function. And now we just want to pass our stop loss distance from outside. Okay, then here, this if statement, we don't need this. We will do this outside in the onTick function later to check if the trailing stop loss is active. Here we get the total number of positions and then we loop through the positions. This is still the same. We get the ticket of the position. We check the ticket. We select the position by the ticket and then we get the magic number of the position and we check if the magic number or if this position belongs to our EA. So here we need to change this input magic number to our input magic number variable here. And if this is true, then we know, okay, this position belongs to our EA and we can check if we need to trail the stop loss for this position. And for this, we get the type here. We get the current stop loss and the current take profit. And here we calculate a new stop loss. Okay, so here we just set the current price depending on the type of the position, bid or ask. We have a variable called n here. We set this to 1 or -1, also depending on the type of the position. And now here we calculate the new stop loss value. And here we need to change something for the calculation because now we want to use, of course, our stop loss distance here. Okay, so let's delete this part here. And let's just write current price minus our stop loss distance multiplied by our n variable here. And this will work for buy and sell positions. And this is our new stop loss value. And now, instead of normalize double, we can just use our custom function here, normalize price, to normalize the stop loss value. So right here, we can write a if statement, normalize price. We pass our new stop loss value here. And if this function fails, then we just want to print. Maybe failed to, or we just want to return, because the error message is printed out here inside this function already. Okay, so we just return here for this update stop loss function. And now we have our new stop loss calculated and normalized. And here with the next if statement, we just check if the calculated stop loss here is closer to the current price than the existing stop loss, because this is always something you should check. And also if the new stop loss is different to the old stop loss, otherwise you would get an error message from the trade server. But this is all the same here. We don't need to edit anything. And also here for the check for stop level. And then here we finally modify the position with our new stop loss, the ticket, and our current take profit. So the take profit stays the same, of course. And if this function here fails, we also print a message here and then we return. Okay, I think that's it for this update stop loss function here for our EA. Now let's click on compile and let's see. Okay, we have two errors. Always fix the top error first. I just double click on this error message here and we can see last tick bit. We called this in our EA, I think it's current tick, right? Yeah, current tick bit and current tick ask. Okay, let's compile again. We can see we have no warnings, no errors. And now we can continue to use this trading stop loss function to trade our stop loss. Okay, so let's go to the onTick function where we can now use our update stop loss function here to trail our stop loss. Maybe we add this here in the onTick function before we calculate the new high and low values. Let's just add a comment here, update stop loss, and we write a simple if statement to check if our input stop loss is greater than 0. And of course, if our input trading stop loss is active. In this case, we want to call our update stop loss function. And here now we need to set the stop loss distance. And because our input stop loss is in points, we need to multiply this by the point value. Okay, because here we need to pass the absolute distance in price of the symbol. Okay, let's compile. And now we can go to meta editor and let's see if our update stop loss function here works correctly. Okay, so here we are in the metatrader stretch tester and I've selected our EA and I will just do a visual test here with the open price only mode to see if our trading stop loss is working like expected. I will use the default inputs. Maybe I increase the stop loss to 400 points and I just press start here. And I just want to see if our stop loss is working. So here we already have a short position and we can see at each new open price, and I can just press F12 on my keyboard to jump one bar. We can see the stop loss is trailing and we have no error messages here. Let's see. So this was a big profit trade here. Let's also wait for a buy position. Okay, so here's a buy position and we can also see the trailing stop loss is working for the buy position. Yeah. Perfect. Okay, so trading stop loss is working for sell and buy positions. So let's go back to meta editor and we can add the next component to the strategy. Okay, so the next component will be our size filter for the strategy. We just want to filter out channels where high and low is too far apart, and this will be in points. So we only want to trade a breakout if the high and low is very close together. So then we have a ranging market, that's the idea, and then we will have a breakout with a new trend. So let's go to the inputs here. Let's add a size filter, maybe here after the index filter, just another input of type integer, because this will be in points. So input, size filter, and by default, this is maybe set to 0. So also a comment here. And 0 again means off. Okay, let's compile. And now let's go to the check inputs section here, because now we need to add another if statement for the size filter. So input size filter should not be below 0. Of course, it can be 0 because this means inactive, but it should not be below 0. So let's also write or change the alert here. Below 0. Okay, let's compile again. And now let's add the function for the size filter, just like we did for this check index filter here. So I will just copy this, paste it here. Let's change the name, check size filter. We don't need any parameters for this function here. And let's also change the comment here, check or check channel size. Okay, so now here inside this check size filter function, first of all, we want to check if our input size filter variable here is greater than 0, and also if our high minus low, which is the total size of our channel, is greater than our input size filter multiplied by point value. In this case, we want to return false because our size filter is active and our channel size is too big. So we return false. And if it's not active, we return true. And if it's active and the channel is small enough, then we also return true. Okay, so let's compile. And now we can use this check size filter function here in our onTick, where we just check for the index filter. We can just add another condition here where we check for the buy position, check size filter, and this is equal for sell and buy positions. So we can also add this here where we check for sell positions, check size filter. Okay, and maybe before we test this in a visual test, we also want to change something here in the draw object function. So here we set the high and low level to a green color if our check index filter is true, and we can also add our check size filter now. So if this is false, also the line will be black. So we just have a visual check here, and we also do this for the low line, check size filter, just like this. Okay, and maybe we also add the current size in points to our text object. So here after the low index, we can add another string. So let's just add a plus sign here, and here we can type size, and we will use the double to string function. We get the high, we subtract the low to get the range of the channel, and we divide this by the point value here. And we also set the digits to 0. And I think that's it for our text object here. So let's compile. We have no warnings, no errors. Let's do a visual test to see if our channel size filter is working correctly. Okay, so let's do a simple visual test here in the stretch tester. I will set the channel size filter to 800. And let's just see if our filter works correctly. So we can already see here for text object, we can see the size of the channel, which is 450 points. Let's see, yeah, if our channel is too big, so above 800 points, we can see the lines are now black. And if it gets smaller than 800 points, the lines, the high and low should be green. Yeah. So now we are ready to take a trade. And yeah, so the size filter is working correctly. And I think now we just need to go through the code, do some last little improvements here for our EA, and then we can start to backtest. Okay, so I will start here at the very top. Here everything looks fine for our inputs. I want to delete the option to have no stop loss, because if we have no stop loss, we have no alternative exit signal. A trade can be open forever. So I will just delete this option for the stop loss. And here our global variables, they are fine. Our onInit function. Here we delete the objects in the onDinit function. The onTick function is also okay. And of course here we don't need to check if we have a stop loss active, but I would say we just leave this condition in here. Now here for the check inputs function, we need to add here for this condition a equal sign, because now our stop loss should not be equal. So stop loss less or equal to 0. So we just make sure that we always have a stop loss set. Okay, our check index filter function, or check size filter function, our draw objects function, and here I want to set this delete statement here for the index filter outside of this if statement. So I will just copy and paste it here under this comment, but before our if statement here. Okay, so all the rest looks fine here. Our text object is new bar function, count open position function, normalize price function. Now here the close positions function, we don't use it right now in the EA. If you have this function coded in some other file, you can delete it. If you just coded this for this EA, I would just save it in another file or somewhere so you can use it later. Or you can just comment it out. If you make a slash and a star, and also here star and slash, then all this code is a comment basically. But I will just delete this function because we don't need it now in our EA. Okay, update stop loss function here. And that's all for this EA. So let's compile one last time and let's switch to the tester and we can do some backtests. Okay, so here we are in the stretch tester. So first of all, I want to run a very simple optimization to see if our EA is profitable at all with a specific combination. So I selected here our EA. I will select the British pound, Japanese yen for the symbol. This is one of my custom symbols. And I have data starting in 2008. So I will use this for the start date all the way to the end of 2018. So 11 years of history for this optimization. And then we can use the recent years for a simple out of sample test. I select the 1 hour for the time frame, open price only mode, slow complete algorithm, and for the optimization criteria, I will use the recovery factor. Okay, let's take a look at the inputs. So magic number, lot size. The first input we want to optimize is here the look back period. And maybe we can just start with 50, steps of 50 all the way to 200. Now here for the index filter, we want to start at 0. So no index filter. step of 10 all the way up to 20. And channel size filter, also we start at 0 here, step of maybe 200 all the way up to 1400. And the stop loss in points, we start with 50, steps of 50 to 300. And yeah, let's switch the trailing stop loss on and off. And also take profit, we start with 0, so no take profit, maybe step of 100 and all the way up to 400. Okay, so now we have over 5K combinations here. And yeah, let's just start this optimization and let's take a look at the results here. Okay, so I just want to see with this optimization if there's anything out there that is profitable with our high-low breakout EA. And we can already see some results here, but let's just wait until this optimization is done. This will take 5 minutes, and yeah, then we will have a look at the results. Okay, so the optimization is done. So the best result here has a recovery factor of nearly 12, but of course only 2 trades, so we should not care about these results here. But the first good results here have a recovery factor of 7, which is also very, very high. And yeah, but we can see what all these good results here have in common is that they don't have a take profit, first of all. Yeah, and they also use a trailing stop loss, and they don't have a index filter active. So that's very nice that we can delete parameters. So we only have the bar parameter left, the size parameter, and the stop loss parameter. So only 3 parameters, which means we can create a stable strategy with only 3 parameters. We can also take a look here at the visual result here. We can use the 1D graph and we can just switch through the inputs. So for bars, we can see input of 100 is pretty great. So I would say we take a look at this area here for the next optimization. So input bars, we still start maybe at 20, step of 20 and all the way up to 120, because here the results are pretty bad. For the next input, let's take a look here, index filter. And we already saw some good results here without an index filter. And whenever you can delete a component or a parameter you have to optimize or you have to set, you should always do it. So I will just leave the index filter at 0. Next one, let's take a look at the size filter. So we can see the size filter inactive here with the value of 0. Is not that good. So the size filter does improve the strategy a lot. We can see a very large size filter is pretty good. So maybe we just start with a size filter at, I don't know, 800, step of 100, and all the way up to maybe 2K. Yeah, like this. And for the stop loss, let's take a look. Okay, the stop loss value doesn't really matter. I would say a bigger stop loss is better. So let's just leave this at 50, 50, and 300. Or maybe we increase this to 400. So we have a look here at the right side. Trading stop loss. You can also take a look here. So no trading stop loss. Trading stop loss. Yeah, I would just set this to true and don't optimize it. So we just use a trading stop loss. And for the take profit, we already saw that the take profit value at the best combinations here is 0. So let's just don't use any take profit. That's another variable we can eliminate. And now we have only 3 parameters left. No index filter. We set a trailing stop loss and no take profit. Okay, so let's run this next optimization with these new steps and start and end values here. So I will just press start and let's see, this should be pretty fast. Yeah, now we can already see some good results up here, but let's just wait for all combinations. Okay, so the second optimization is done. We can already see we have better results here. Let's take a look at one of the top results, maybe this one here, for our optimized period. Now you have to keep in mind this is the performance on the optimized data. So this is not really relevant. But what we can do now is to go to our settings tab here and do a out of sample test. So we just optimized up until the end of 2018. And now we can go all the way to today. And let's run this test again. And let's see how the strategy is performing after 2018. So here we can already see out of sample result is pretty good. So this is where our out of sample period starts right here. So you cannot tell where the optimized period ends and the out of sample period starts. And this is a simple test you can do with your strategies to see if the strategy is stable and is likely to perform in the future. But we can also take a look at another result, maybe with more trades. Let's say over 300, maybe this one here. Let's see. Yeah, again, you cannot tell where the optimization period ends and the out of sample period starts. So this is probably around here, and you can see out of sample also very good performance. Now let's take a look at a combination with even more trades maybe. Here's one with 500 trades. Also looks very nice. But let's see if we can find a combination with, 1000 trades. Let's see. Yeah, also here the out of sample performance looks very nice. And what I also want to show you is how important the data is you use for your backtest. Because I use here my custom symbol. And if I just use, for example, the broker symbol, British pound, Japanese yen, let's test this. Forex. And I leave all the settings like we did here for this backtest, and I will just start the backtest. Let's see how the performance looks like. Yeah, you can see a completely different result. Especially here in the early years, 2008, the data quality is pretty bad. And also here the performance is not great. So it is very important that you check your data before you start your first backtest. Because you can see the difference, right? If I change back here to my custom symbol, British pound, Japanese yen. This is the same settings, same EA, same strategy, and completely different result. Okay, so that's the high-low breakout EA. Of course, you can always improve the strategy. I also have some ideas in mind I want to test. If I get even better results, I may do a follow-up video here on the channel. So if you don't want to miss that, subscribe. And yeah, now you can use this EA, test different symbols for yourself, different time frames, and maybe also check what happens if you reverse the signal. If this content was helpful for you, would be nice if you just leave a like. This really helps my channel and to spread the content to more people. If you have a question about automated trading or just coding in general, you can write a comment and also let me know which content I should cover next here on the channel. And yeah, I will see you in one of the next videos. Bye bye.